extraordinary music.
What's going on, Masterclass family? This is your boy, Mr. Adams, bringing you the Masterclass Black Friday trade of the day. There are several great opportunities that took place. As you all know, we have begun our cartel campaign beginning today, where our goal is to snatch 200% return on investment on 9 trades, starting with as low as $125, with the goal of turning that into a heck of a lot of money within a reasonable period of time. Because we're starting the cartel campaigns, I'll start these reviews now with the daily charts so that we can take a look exactly at the setups that we're looking for, and then we'll break them down on a smaller time frames. Today I'm going to highlight Nvda. Nvda was a stock that was put out yesterday as a cartel trade, and some members did very well with it. However, with today being Friday and with the contracts being even cheaper, the move today was a bit more substantial. So let's dig into Nvidia today and take a look at some charts. All right, so starting with the daily chart on Nvda, we identified it as a cartel trade. Why? As you can see here on the daily chart, Thinkorswim software is already drawing the pennant pattern for us. So we know that though the stock had been in a downtrend, the market has since reversed over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And it formed a pennant here, which it recently broke out of around last Friday, January the 1st. January the 4th, I'm sorry. And anytime a stocks break out of an area, it typically comes back and it tests that area as new support. So that which was resistance now becomes support. And that's how I was able to identify a confluence zone here with Nvidia. So let's take a look at it. I'll start off with drawing just a few lines here. So we know that TOS has already drawn this pennant formation for us. So the first thing I want to take a look at is where was the resistance level and where was the new support. So if I draw a trend line here, or a resistance level, let me just extend this, I can see that when NVDA was falling, this doji candle, if you will, acted as resistance into the 10 level here. And it came down and it finally broke above that level, which is also the breakout of this pennant pattern as well. And for 4 days, it held this level as new support. That was the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and opened slightly above that today. So this new support level was one area that created the confluence zone. Now, the next level is going to be the trend up. Nvidia had a low of 124.56. So if I just extend the trend line from there up into pretty much today, we can see that the stock for the most part has been holding an uptrend support. And so then we have this confluence between this horizontal line that I drew here at the price level of 137.06 and this trend line up. And the apex of that level was on the 9th, where we had a doji candle, and that's a reversal candle. That's one of the main candles that we look for at confluence. Now, along with this apex area here, or the X marks the spot between this trend line as well as the horizontal new horizontal support line, we have these moving averages here. So I'm going to remove the trend line and the horizontal line so that we can see. So now we have the 10 moving average, the 10-day moving average, the EMA is crossing above and cuffing the 20 EMA. And it's forming its own little X here, which is also acting as support. So in this area here, we have confluence support for NVDA, which is a really good sign. So that's where the cartel alert came from. Plus, you have a positive MACD, and you have a slow RSI that's crossing back above the oversold, um, which is another bullish signal. And you have the TTM squeeze lit and beginning to turn positive. So I really believe that we do have some more upside here on NVDA. We had the gap level over here of 170. I believe that's the target. If we can clear this 150 level here, where we see this doji that acted as resistance, where this 10 moving average is, which is about 154. I think we have two of them. We have the one at 150 that we need to break through, then 154. If we clear those two levels, we should see 170 without a problem. So on the daily chart, that's where we get our bullish bias for calls on Nvidia. Next, on the 1 hour chart, we can see that it's above the cloud and it's above all of the moving averages on a 1 hour chart. The TTM squeeze fired off positive. You technically have a Thanos setup because you got the TTM wave A and C positive. The TTM squeeze fired off positive, and the MACD is positive, and it's not overextended. It's still close to its zero line, which is great. So you have a Thanos setup on a 1 hour chart, and the candlesticks are above all of the moving averages over the last 2 days. So it's a very bullish signal. On the 30-minute chart, it's pretty much the same thing. We can see that the price action is above all of the moving averages, and you have a positive MACD as well. That's bullish. On a 15-minute chart, we have price action above the weekly VWAP and a positive MACD as well. So everything is saying that the momentum for NVDA is currently bullish. Now, take a look at our 5-minute charts to bring some clarity on the entry. So one of our standard setups is gold merits and gold separated. So on a 5-minute chart, we have all of the moving averages consolidated here, fairly consolidated here. This is forming a gold up into market open. And with the previous day's high and the pivot point spread apart, that's a good $4 to $5 apart. This will be a gold separated. Anytime we have a gold separated setup, this pivot becomes our target to exit a stock. When the market opened at 9:30, we had positive dual money flow. The stock quickly popped down. I'm sure it tested a previous level of resistance as new support and began to go higher. I took this first trade expecting it to go higher immediately, and I got stopped out. It retraced, and it fell back to test some more areas of previous support and resistance, which I'll show you shortly. So I was watching it closely because I knew that the hourly trend and the daily trend was intact for the stock to go higher, and it began to consolidate in this area here. So I kept it on watch, and I continued to put out alerts. And we, as the market overall began to turn, I began to see the video begin to kind of coil or tighten up in here and to form somewhat of a triangle, which I'll draw on the next chart I'm going to pull up before it took off and hit the target verbatim before forming a bearish engulfing pattern. And I sold my position right up in here at this target. I believe I purchased the 146 calls for 46 cents, and I sold them at like $2.92 for over 600% return on investment. I'm sorry. And you can also see that we have dual money flow as well during that breakout. Let's take a look at it from another perspective. So one thing that I've really been paying attention to is test and retest of old support, new resistance, and vice versa. So if we take a look at when the video opened and it immediately dropped down, why did it just randomly stop here? If you look back over the last couple of days, you'll always see why. This level here was resistance. The day before NVDA, NVIDIA ran up to this resistance level, rejected, finally broke above it, and it came and it tested it right here in this area. Therefore, when it opened, it immediately retested it again. You had new buyers there waiting with orders, and that's which caused this quick spring. However, it didn't continue at that particular moment. But it was a fairly good entry because you had the RSI, which was not overbought, and you had the MACD that was just crossing over. So you had a legitimate opportunity for it to run higher, but it faked some people out and it came back and it retraced a little bit. Now let's take a look at this retracement level. Let's draw another horizontal line here, and let's follow it backwards to see why is it holding this level, which appears to be in the middle of thin air. Well, this was a resistance level yesterday. It bounced down, broke above that level, but was still acted as some resistance. Came down and tested again, broke it for a third time, and it consolidated above that level for majority of aftermarket and the pre-market before it tested that past resistance level as new support. And when you had the volume breaking it above resistance yet again, this time it held. So it failed one failure, two failure. Say it tried, but this would be a third failure. And the fourth time it broke above it, it held here. And this caught my attention. Not only did I see the fact that it was holding this new support level, I noticed that it was forming somewhat of a triangle here. If I just draw this level down, I noticed that triangle there. So that gave me some conviction for a potential breakout. I also noticed on a 5-minute that the MACD had begun to cross back over near the zero line, and the slow RSI was crossing over the 50 middle line, going higher as well. That gave me a greater conviction. I was also monitoring it on a 1-minute chart just to make sure I can get the best entry possible. And as you can see, this is a well-defined triangle here. And I believe I got in at around 11:48. So that would be up in here when it was attempting to break the triangle on the 1-minute chart. I had the confirmation of the slow RSI cross and a MACD crossing over near zero lines, which is a really great place to be. Now, if you're looking for calls, it's best to buy them when it's crossing the oversold or near the zero line. Never when it's overbought. That's a bad time. So this gave me a really great entry. I took a little heat for about 3 to 4 minutes before it just completely took off, and I caught all of this uptrend from 145 all the way to 149. I caught the entire $4 move. Beautiful trade. But it all started with it being a cartel setup, and I believe that there's more room for this to run. Let's take a look at the options chain. The 146 calls, they hit a low today of 29 cents. They opened at 50 cents. I got them at 45 cents. They went as high as $3.69. That's an incredible one. 738% from the open to the high. I got 648% out of it. And I even put the alert out in our chat room that, hey, this is the time to look at Nvda right now. And a couple of people took that trade and they got in and they did make some decent money on it. But it was certainly the Masterclass Black Friday trade of the day. There were a couple of other trades that I had taken. One of those trades was Target. I also had some Target today because Target was a cartel setup. Looking at it on the 5-minute chart, it appeared to be one of our standard gold married setups here. Quickly popped up with dual money flow, retraced back a little bit, and then had this decent move up from 68 all the way to 69.74. And looking at this on the daily chart, the reason I was interested in Target is because of a potential gap fill. On a daily chart the other day, we formed a hammer. Here we go. So here's Target's daily chart. Right here with this doji, from last Friday gave us this move on Monday, which was huge. We had a confluence on target on Monday. You can consider this somewhat the uptrend there. You have confluence between the 10 MA and the 20 MA crossing, and then you had a level of support. Give me one moment. Let me just draw this level of support for us, which created this confluence. Extend this to the left. So this doji acted as a little bit of resistance, and now it's holding a support. The stock had gapped down, to this level and hold this area as support in the past. And so this doji here from the 4th is what gave us this confluence on target. And target immediately took off for the next 3 days, and it gapped down. And now it's holding the top of this doji as support here. So this is what gave me the conviction for target that it could possibly go higher here today as a continuation of the cartel, because you also have the rising 10 holding this level of support as well. And that's why I believe that target will continue higher with the potential move, hopefully back to 72, at the least back to 79.96. And once again, this is target on the 1 minute chart. And as I stated earlier, a stock always fall back to a level that was once resistance. So target immediately took off. It pulled back on this 1 minute chart. Guess where? To this level here that had proved to be resistance yesterday. And using the MACD and slow RSI, it gave you the opportunity to better time your entry here. So when it came back and tested this level, it was below the 50 on the slow RSI, on the verge of crossing back over. Same thing with the MACD crossing back over. And if you know that this level is going to be a test to new support, you can sort of front run the indicators as long as they're not overbought for calls or oversold for puts, and anticipating a bounce off the new support levels so that you can catch the move up. And from here, target pops from 68.32 all the way to 69.80. And if we just take a look at the calls on target, they had the 69 calls from 20 cents to 98 cents, which is just about a 5-to-1 on target as well. So you can't really be mad at that trade. And so those were Nvda was the Masterclass Black Friday trade of the day, but we had some good looks with Target, Netflix, as well as Verizon as well, all of which are going to continue to be on watch. Facebook is also included in that mix as well. Masterclass, dominate.